Now let's begin with Joe Biden and his statements on these matters. Let's flash back and take a look.
I've never discussed my business or their business, my sons or daughters. I never discussed a single thing with my son about anything having to do with Ukraine. I've never spoken to my son about his overseas business. I have never discussed with my son or my brother or anyone else anything having to do with their businesses, period.
Okay, so the president never discussed it, Shannon. The White House has said it appears that the House Republicans' own much-hyped witness today, this is Devon Archer's testimony, testified that he had never heard of President Biden discussing business with his son or his son's associates. What we did learn, though, 20-plus calls with Joe Biden. We can put this up. He was at a 2014 dinner, Cafe Milano, your neck of the woods, with the mayor of Moscow's wife and other business associates, and a 2015 dinner with an executive at Burisma, the then vice president attended. That's a lot of circumstantial evidence that he had some awareness or type of discussion.
And I feel like the Devon Archer thing is kind of a Rorschach test. I mean, people see what they want to see. Both sides come out of this thing, out of this interview, claiming victory. But what Devon Archer said again and again is it was about the brand. The fact that, yes, I could call up my father, who is the sitting vice president. He can be on speakerphone during this dinner or come to the dinners. You mentioned that place, Cafe Milano, very popular in D.C. But think about all of the things that we have learned since initially when the president was saying, my son never made money out of anything in China. We know that's not true. I didn't know anything about him. I didn't know about the business partners. And it's evolved now into this conversation where the president was never in business with his son. So there's been a real, it feels to some in Washington, a moving of the goalposts, because the more that we get from documents from the 1023, allegations unverified at this point, but Devon Archer and his testimony and others who've spoken out, there's more to the story. There's more to the story.
It feels that way, Emily. I want to go to, we discussed this last week, a Dubai meeting. This was December 4th, 2015. So to set the scene, Devon Archer, Hunter Biden, they're in Dubai for a meeting with Burisma. They then go to the Four Seasons fancy hotel to have drinks. And here's how FoxNews.com describes the testimony from Archer. On the sidelines of that meeting, Archer testified that Burisma CEO Mykola Zolochevsky and Vadim Pozarsky asked Hunter to make a phone call, get this, to D.C. to address pressure the company was facing. Now, there were several pressure points. One of those, of course, was the firing of Victor Shokin. Hunter Biden notably was a lobbyist at the time, but he continues, after the Burisma executives asked for help, Hunter called his dad. This was after the request to call D.C., Archer said, adding that he did not hear this phone call, but just 5 days after Hunter Biden called then Vice President Joe Biden from Dubai, Joe Biden took a trip to Ukraine. During that trip, the former vice president made a statement. It's not enough to set up a new anti-corruption bureau and establish a special prosecutor fighting the corruption. The office of the general prosecutor desperately needs reform. That was Victor Shokin's office.
All of this is so plain. If we had presented this in court, it's an open and shut case. The only thing making this amorphous, the only thing making this anything less than crystal clear is the person in the White House and all of his henchmen, because we all see this for what it is, which is the use of leverage of a vice presidential father and then some for massive monetary gain. And when we hear it from Hunter Biden's words himself, when he says, yes, that's the price of power, we are held to a higher standard. Indeed, sir, you are held to a higher standard because the stakes are so much higher, because it's our national security and it's our tax dollars that are now being wasted at the behest of a vice president's then son. And I want to point out as well that, just because he says, well, it's defensive leverage, I'm not actually using him, right? It's just about the brand. It's about adding value. But that's the whole point, is that when you're talking about the vice president of the United States, you don't need to actually trot him out on stage and have that be actually voiced. The whole point is that pressure, that clear leverage, that clear impact that was demonstrated just then in your example, Kayleigh. So the fact that he now is trying to hide behind, well, it wasn't actually used and it's just the hinting, that's all that you need because it clearly worked.
And so much of this turns out to be untruthful. We know that the then former Vice President Biden, before he becomes president, on the debate stage with Trump, twice said, to Shannon's point, we got no money from China. We, meaning his son, not directly talking about himself. But Washington Post Glenn Kessler, I always say he's sleeping because he doesn't often fact check Democrats. Well, he woke up and he said Biden said his son earned no money from China. His son says otherwise. Now, never mind that headline. If it would have been Trump lies. But regardless, he gives Joe Biden 4 Pinocchios for that statement.
3 years later, mind you, something that I believe we all highlighted many, many moons ago. Glenn Kessler, to your point, finally waking up. But to Emily's point, what I find fascinating about this is this notion that access doesn't count. Well, The brand is the access, and the access is the vehicle by which you are able to impact policy. Going a step further, there's a key word in Devon Archer's testimony, and it is legally mess. It's not just regular mess, it's legally mess with Burisma. Burisma was worried that people would legally mess with them, those people being Victor Shokin, the prosecutor. So who could they get? Joe Biden. Joe Biden could get in there and prevent them from legally messing. The one person who could cause Burisma problems, that guy is gone. Lo and behold, Burisma is not under the problems that they originally were before Victor Shokin was fired. You have all the connections. Now Congress needs to run with them.
And Joe Biden had the benefit of the media covering for him on the debate stage last time with the Russian disinformation laptop. This time, however, we have an arsenal of facts. Dr. Sapphire.
Well, absolutely. And as the token non-lawyer here on the couch, I can speak freely and give the non-legal opinion here. It is my opinion. The Archer testimony this week, it was pretty damning. I mean, at minimum, it showed that President Biden at that time had some physical presence in his son Hunter's, business dealings, maybe, and I'm not talking in the figurative speech, I'm saying literally he was actually there while he was on his phone. The Democrats want to say, well, we never spoke business. I guess he was just saying hi to his foreign adversary business partners, fine. But at maximum, this means that President Biden could potentially, be accused of pay for play, yielding his political influence in, funding his family's wealth. And at the end of the day, I would say, well, the good news is he'll be tried by, his peers. And I don't mean in a court, I mean the 2024 election. But unfortunately, the DOJ isn't even giving half as much time to Biden as he is to Trump. So you're not actually going to see the matchup that Americans want to see at this point.
Dr. Sapphire, there's only one point you got wrong there, and it's that he discussed the weather on all those phone calls. It was all just the weather,
They
guys.
meant to call Janice Dean and instead got Joe Biden. That happens all the time.
Oh my gosh, hilarious.
Hey everyone, I'm Emily Campagno. Catch me and my co-hosts Harris Faulkner and Kayleigh McEnany on Outnumbered every weekday at 12 p.m. Eastern, or set your DVR. Also, don't forget to subscribe to the Fox News YouTube page for daily highlights.